Michael started his career in production in 2001 and founded All That's Good Production. He initially transitioned into teaching while saving up for equipment before fully committing to his business. So, All That's Good Production Co. is Michael's company, and he's been actively running it for 15 years. Michael's decision to leave teaching was pivotal, driven by his desire to practice what he preached. So, I look forward to having this conversation with Michael. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Michael, tell us what your business does, the business's focus is on.
So we focus on production, obviously. Like, we do a little bit of everything. We have a history in television, doing doc series, unscripted television. We've done recently, just did our first as a All That's Good company as an independent film last summer. We do a lot of branded work, branded content, and commercial work. That seems to be where majority of our business comes in, is through brands and through branded development and branded content. And we do a lot of marketing business, like marketing videos and helping companies with their marketing needs, like whether it's identity type videos or content for their marketing purposes and their strategy. So a lot of stuff that lives on social media and internal projects as well.
Amazing. There's a lot to dig into, but let's actually start off with what's happening around the world around you in your local space. What winds are blowing? What are you noticing?
I think we're noticing that there's definitely a shift in when we first really started what All That's Good was doing was a lot of unscripted documentary work, like I said, and our relationships with television were a little bit better, I would say 7, 8 years ago. And then the networks kind of took a shift and started going, more streamer. And when the streamers, now are trying to figure out what they're looking for, I think that window of opportunity has kind of shrunk, to be honest. Like, I don't think they're buying as much new stuff. Like, they're redeveloping things they've already had, or they're working with companies that have had 4, 5, 6, 7 shows already with them. So we've shifted, as I said, into like more brand work, which I think opens up a lot of different opportunities. I think the challenge there too is like what they're actually looking for and figuring it out. Like, last year, I feel like a lot of people kind of held off towards the end of the year to see like what this year was going to bring and what the economy would do. The last couple of years there, didn't help that there was a strike in the industry. And then when we came back from striking, the economy kind of tanked. So our industry overall, I mean, the unemployment rate is like ridiculously high for creatives. I think spending overall is kind of just a challenge for anybody right now, like trying to figure out where to spend. So that's kind of what we've noticed. So I think, a lot of our projects have become a lot like slower moving ships. Like, there aren't things that just call us today and we start next week. Like, it's been a lot of developing and getting projects that are a little more time consuming, but they're legit. So it's worth taking the time. So I think overall in the industry, people are really trying to figure out what's the go-to and what's next right now.
Interesting. And I just want to go back to your point earlier where you highlighted that you do branded work, but also marketing work. Can you just, tell us the difference between that and what that means for your business?
Yeah. So there's the difference is basically like we have some clients that come directly to us, like they're a brand that maybe not affiliated with an agency yet, or they might spend a couple $100,000 on marketing throughout their year and they want very specific things. Like, they're looking for a video for their splash page or their website, or they have a YouTube channel that's starting to gain followers and they need to do some content that's a little out of their scope. So we handle a lot of that. Then on the other side of that, we've worked with companies like Vox Media who have like a KitchenAid, for example. Then KitchenAid looking to do a 4-part series where they want to have a couple social media influencers and they want it to look like an HGTV show. But since we've worked for HGTV and DIY networks and things like that and done like house reno shows, we were a good partner for them. So we were able to like integrate the brand into a style that looked like a television show. And that's kind of where that branded stuff comes in. That, I think our resume fits well for companies like that because we're able to we understand what the brands need. We understand how to market a brand, but yet we also know how to make it look like it's a television show. And you're not just like simply doing an ad.
Interesting. And Michael, I want to just dig into a bit of your origins as well, where you started off on the creative side, and like most business peoples in this space, they only want to focus on the creative side, but eventually the reality kicks in where you're like, hey, we have to do business as well.
Yeah.
How has that changed since? So first, when you first started, it must have been a lot about learning the craft of the business and actually picking up the camera and making stuff look nice as well. Versus what you're doing today, is it more on the lines of creative work on production, or is it now more focused on new business development?
It's a combination. I'm very blessed. Like, so I co-own my company with my partner, Vince, who he handles a lot of the business side of things. Like he helps with the budgeting. He helps with a ton of the mundane outreach, like things like that. I am brought into quite a bit of it. I mean, obviously as a business partner, I try to give him equal amount of time towards those things. And it's my responsibility to help with all of it. Like I can't just ignore it, but I'm very blessed. And I think like anything else, like you're only as good as the team that surrounds you.
Hmm.
But as far as like the goals of things, if I had my way, I would never talk business. I would just film, like I would be on set every day. But the reality of that is you don't really have the ability unless you're, a really well established artist who literally has a team around them too, that, you have an agent that's constantly working for you and bringing you stuff. You have to be on the look for something while you're even working. Like we found it ourselves in that situation when we first started. Like we would be on a project that would be, with television, it's a little different. You work on something that might be 3, 4, 6, 7 months with one gig. And then what would happen is the gig would end and you start all over. Like you're literally like firing the engines back up and going, what's next? And if it takes 2, 3 months to get to that next one, you can adapt or you could survive. But once you start growing, and our company has grown over the last, 7 years to the point where we do have a in-service post-production house now. We have outreach where we do development, we do production side of things. We have a small studio space. So that to keep things kind of going, we have to be turning the stones, so to speak, while we're working. And that does fall on myself and the rest of our team. Like we're all doing it. I would say I'm about 50 at this point, working and still being creative. Like I'm blessed in the fact that we do have work. So, like I was on set this last week. We have a shoot next week. We have a shoot coming up at the end of April. That's going to be like a 15-day shoot. So, we
Brilliant.
get these things that are, and when we're on those, I get to kind of just go do what I need to do. And the rest of the team's kind of working behind the scene doing what they have to do, which is great. But we work really well together on keeping it moving.
Amazing. Survival to growth. Interesting point. What was that mind shift that led you into that growth phase?
The necessity, like it's really a necessity. It's like, where's the business? Like when we first started All That's Good, we were very heavy on production. Like we were shooting close to probably 125 days a year, and
Nice.
traveling quite a bit. Then COVID hit, and we really didn't. I mean, we were blessed to keep working through that. Like we had a lot of interesting jobs come in during that, but I would say it really shifted into post production, and a lot of post work came through during that time. And we were lucky that we were in a situation where we could jump into post, and keep that going. When that happened, though, we started really developing that out. We're like, wow, if we really strengthen that side of our business, we can keep things moving along when there isn't production happening. And we were very lucky we did that because, like I said, the strike impacted everybody. And like, even though if you're union or not, those types of hits to the industry impact everybody. Because like people slowly well, first of all, union members start taking up non-union jobs if they have to, right? And that means there's less for other people. People that are funding things start to tighten up, and they're not going to put money out anymore. So, it really is a trickle down for everyone. So even if you're not in the union, a big industry shift hurts everyone. So that's kind of like where we were lucky, that we had some of the corporate stuff, or like I said, the brand work. Otherwise, I don't think we would have survived the last couple years.
Interesting. Michael, going forward, some of the short-term goals, what do they look like with regards to new clients or pipeline growth or meeting with new prospects? What are the next targets?
For us, I mean, for me personally, is to get some more of our IP out. Like we want to keep developing some of the projects we have, getting some of that stuff out to the world and to the public. We things that are very close right now, which are exciting. Like they're in development that we've started on, that we either have sizzles that are completed that we're hopefully to turn to pilot or turn to a digital series at this point. We have some great partnerships with some other production companies and some brands that we're really excited about. And keeping that going, like really, honestly, like our name, All That's Good. It's kind of funny because like we believe that we do really good work. Like it's non-pretentious in a way, but it's also things that really stimulate us. Like we try to work on things that we actually like and like enjoy, so we feel like we can bring a little extra to the table. And we are blessed in that way. Like most of our clients are really awesome. So like the things that we get to do, we feel blessed. So if we can continue in that trajectory alone, we'll be happy. But definitely keeping an eye on how things are going. Like it's at any minute, like with AI and all these other things, like there's like fear in the industry. So it's like, where do we go? Like, and what do we do? So we're kind of like, staying the course and keeping it, the formula of we're going to do really exceptional work and do the best we can do. But what is that next job is always going to be a question. Like, what is the next thing we're doing? So we're trying to stay on top of trends. We're trying to stay relevant. And like I said, we try to adapt to the situations and figure it out.
Part of being selective with what you do is also turning down jobs. What's that like? What's that? What goes into your mind when you're deciding this isn't the right one for me and this is?
So in the beginning of my career, the only two things I turned down was anything that was like X-rated material or weddings. Like, just to be completely honest, like I wouldn't do any type of wedding work or anything that
Mm,
was in the porn industry or X-rated material that I just felt would, one, damage my character or put us in a category that we didn't want to be in. Weddings, for I think it's a great industry. I think there's tons of money in it, but it was different than the style of work that I think we do. And then also myself, just like growing, I didn't want to be in that type of situation for many reasons. One, I feel like there's more pressure on that than a television show. Like,
yeah.
you're dealing with somebody's precious day, and it was just one of those roles that I set very early on that I would never. I actually had a film producer one time tell me, like, you want to be known as a wedding videographer, go do that. And like, he was just making a joke, but it like stuck to me. And I was like, wow, like you do have to think about what bucket you get put in. And I think over the years, like turning down work, like you do kind of like think about it. Like you don't know, because it is a gamble sometimes. Like if you turn something down, and what if that becomes a huge hit or a success, where it's like,
Mm,
a lot of it has to do with timing. I've always tried to be very honorable to anything that I've done, where if I'm on something, even if something better comes along, I have to honor the project I'm currently on. Like I would never leave something midway through for a different
mm,
opportunity, because I feel like that always comes back to get you later. You might have somebody that's, I don't know, let's just use an example of a $50,000 job. If a $200,000 job comes in and you're committed to that 50, you got to think, what's 5 years from now though? What if this $50,000 one comes back every year? For 5 years, and it's 50, 60, 70,000. Or I took a shot with this one $200,000 job, and I never see them again.
mm.
So like I've kind of always felt like if you stick to the things that you say you're going to do and you stay loyal to that, those other gigs, they're not gonna, it'll work out. Basically, like the karma would be better, and the relationship that you build with that consistent client would be better, and would be worth more over time.
Yeah, I love it. And just business 101, right? It's easier and cheaper to retain the client than to go acquire a new one. So
Right.
for sure, like just focusing on the client and giving them a lot of care, it gives so much to the business as opposed to running after the new ones all the time. Michael, what matters more than anything else right now? to you and why?
From a business standpoint or just in general, like as far as like work balance or whatever? I mean, that's a good question. I think what matters the most for me personally is having that team, like where we all kind of buy into the same thought process. Like, like very proud of the people that we have that work for All That's Good, because I feel like we all have the same mindset right now. It's like we know that the industry is not maybe doing the greatest. However, we're very happy to have work, and everybody commits really hard into their job. Like everybody will put that extra effort in. Like we don't have anybody that just punches a clock and goes, I'm here for 8 hours, I'm done. Like when we're working on a project, everybody puts extra into it to make sure that they can do the best they can. And a lot of times, our most difficult people are ourselves. Like we look at a project and we beat it up before it even gets to the client. Like we give each other notes so much and we work on things so hard that, we have a hard time kind of pulling ourselves out of it, and we go a little extra there. And I think what really matters is that we continue to have that group together and then hopefully grow into a bigger, even, bigger, but we don't want to get too big. Like that's the other thing. Like we don't have a goal of being like a huge production company with hundreds of employees. Like we like being kind of like a boutique style. We like having people that we all get along with and grow with. Like we're not looking to, take over the world.
Yeah, completely. With regards to that, when you do look to grow and you're not looking to grow in terms of number of employees, what does that growth look like? Is it more of what you've been wanting to do in terms of projects, or more of the bigger type of clients or premium types of clients? So what are we looking at there?
Yeah, I think adding a few more clients for sure that have like a more extended type of scope. Like we really enjoy being there at the ground level, like ground floor. Like we've been blessed like these last few years to have projects that we've started with just a concept, brought them into development, all the way through production, all the way through post. So having a few of those a year are really exciting for us to be able to like take a project all the way through. But then also we have some that we just literally jump in and do production for. So we always love that too, because like it's less stressful. It's more of like, there's a collaborative effort. Like we get to work with another post team maybe that we haven't worked with before, or development, or even a director that and every time you pick up something new, you're like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Like we don't do it that way. And I like that, or, you find out things that maybe you don't really love about their workflow, but yet you love the creative process that they put through or something. Think for us, it's always new opportunity. We love that. Like we would love to find some new opportunities. We love definitely collaborating with other teams and figuring out how we can be best and most beneficial to them. And then having fun projects that like, the public enjoys. Like there's nothing better than when you put something out and people are like, that's cool. Or like, we love that, like love the way that looked, or, whatever it is. Like success is always make you feel better.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Michael, and with what Vince does and with what you do combined, what are some of your most priorities? And priority number one.
I think priority number one is always keeping the lights on. Like, what's the job? Like, what are we doing? Where's the money coming from? Balancing that, and keeping that going. So that's always the first priority, is the business, right? Like keeping the business alive. And then priority number two is satisfying the client. We always, sometimes it's the worst thing, because we really do try to maximize every budget. Like we put resource, because we have a lot of resources now. So like if somebody hires us and they're like, look, this is what we're working with, into it, we can't go back to them and be like, we need more, like we've got to make it work with that. And with our team, and that's what I said before, like Vince and I both have that approach. It's like, if we can do it, we're going to do it. Like if we have to put a little more into it, and it's like, it matters, like they're paying for 2 cameras, but we have 3 and we need a third, we're going to grab that third camera and do it. You know what I mean? Just because at the end of the day, it will make our project better. It'll give us a better quality. It'll accelerate things. So like, we're not like restricted in, like, we don't sit there and go, well, this is all you get. like within reason. Like we're not going to obviously kill our employees or make them work 48 hours without sleep, things like that, and but we have had deadlines and we've had some quick turnaround projects. Typically when that happens, we've been lucky that the client does understand and they know that they have to figure that out. Like we might have to bring in a couple additional people to be around the clock or whatever that case may be, and going back to our business, like I never thought we would do live streaming. I never thought that we would do internal corporate videos sometimes, but some of that stuff presents itself to us. And if we're not on a show or doing something else, we will definitely do that job and we will do it just like we would do a TV show. Like we put the same amount of effort or resource into that.
Brilliant. Michael, what are some of the biggest hurdles right now with the business? Some of the biggest challenges right now?
I think the biggest challenge, two things. One, I think every year there's a new influx of young people coming out of college that want to do work, and there's the market gets saturated all the time. So there's tons of production companies. There's more production companies probably than ever out there. So competition's always a thing. And then two, I think based off economy and spending, that's always a challenge. Like people want to spend way less and get way more. So I love technology. Like I think it's great. Like I came from an era where when you said, like when I started, you couldn't even buy a camera, like a production quality camera. You had to rent it from Panavision or you had to like
Hmm.
shoot on film, like there was no digital. Then Red came out, and I was one of the first Red One owners. Like I was so excited about that. Like this is so cool.
Amazing.
However, what that did was it created 7 million directors of photographies and like, and camera arms. It's like an arms race. Like, you're going to war, like who has the newest Burano 8K, camera or whatever. And every year that becomes a thing. Like, it's like, like the agency world sometimes still falls into that trap. They look at it and go, well, what camera are you using? And I'm like, how about
Right.
I show you 4 different videos? You tell me which one if you can identify it, then we'll do that one,
Which
but
one's
like,
the Red? Which one's the iPhone?
yeah, give me like show me which one's the Alexa. Show me which one's a Black Magic camera or Sony. There's so many great products out there right now, which is a blessing, but it's also a curse. Like I said, like, I've seen projects come through where we've probably spent $15,000 to $20,000 on things that just are not necessary, where I would rather put that into 3 more people that could be working on the job, and give
Mm.
them the money and do it, and nobody would know the difference. I think that challenge is that there's a combination of not a lot of projects getting funded or greenlit, as many as there used to be. Brands with social media and things like that are becoming more savvy because they know how to look at analytics more. They know what their return on investment is. So like if you hire somebody to do a job, you want to make sure that you're going to make your money back from that ad or that piece. So like
Mm.
what's the audience now? Like we can track things so much more, which when you asked me earlier about the marketing side, those are other things that I never
Mm.
thought we would be doing, but we are. We're involved in that a lot now. Our conversations are like, okay, what's your engagement level? Where's this living? Like how many who are we using to push it? Like is there a paid ad sponsor behind this? Like, like how's this going to be seen? So I think all of them become a challenge. Like, and that's why I think we have a history of working on things. We have a lot of data that show we know what we're talking about when we do that. But I think a lot of companies, if you're just starting out, I don't know how you could do that. Like if you went to a big brand and said, like, we want to do a video for you, like they're not just going to say, okay, that's a cool video. Like they want to know, where's it living? What's it doing? Why are we paying for this? What's the engagement going to be? Where, all of that stuff. So, like I said, you have these people out here right now on TikTok, Instagram, they have millions of followers and they bring their own audience. So like they don't need companies like mine. So that's a challenge. Like you can't,
Yeah.
like you don't really need to have us help you, set up your cooking video in your kitchen when you're already doing that. And what are we going to do? Just bring more expensive equipment?
Absolutely. Michael, it's very interesting. Part of the differentiation in your business between that new kid that just came up from the union, he's got a camera now, is some of that marketing aspect of the business. And
Yeah.
how, to that end, how do you work and collaborate with your clients to show that measurability and so that they can see that ROI?
Great question. It really depends on the client. Like I said, like some of them have agencies, like they might be attached to an agency and the agency handles all of that. So they have that figured out. and they come to us and they're looking to just do the production work with us. Like they might hire me to direct or be the director of photography and work along their creative, whoever, like their agent, their head of creative. And then there's the other company who might be the brand who is at that point now where they're like, we know we need to do something. We have this concept, or it's our anniversary next year. We're going to be 30 years old, or we're looking to raise money, let's say. So then once we hear that, then it's like, okay, well, what is your goal here? Like, are you just looking for attention? Like, do you just want to have a follow? Or are you looking for very specific like call to actions here? And once we know that, then we can kind of reverse engineer with them and say, okay, what makes the most sense? Like, what are we doing here? Like, is this an informational video, or is this like an entertainment video to get, a following? Like, are we doing something that's going to live on YouTube? Is it going to just be on Facebook, or, whatever? Like, once we can kind of dive into all those different aspects, that's when our company becomes more valuable, because we can help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like we can understand where the goals are. But a lot of it is just kind of reverse engineering what the goal is of that particular product and who they're already talking to. Like, we work really well with companies that have an in-house marketing team that just don't have production arm, because like they understand their brand, they understand all their guidelines, they understand what their goals are. We just help take it to another level for them. And some of our best work, I feel like, is in that world, because it's, we're able to just, I mean, I don't want to say we push them, but we do kind of push them to kind of, here's an idea that we think's great. How do you bring it? Like, we're going to shoot all the way up here. How do you bring it to here where your brand will accept that, like it, and it's something that you haven't done yet, because most of the content you're doing is like here.
I love the part where you talk about how to increase perceived value almost, because you're still delivering the same service and products, right? What's changed is now you're getting to speak to the client at a deeper level and get to know their goals and what sort of problems they're trying to solve. And that allows you to almost become a partner and figure out and solve their challenges together, raising your value and keeping you away from that race to the bottom, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we say that all the time. Like, we want to be a partner. Like, and we really truly mean that. Like, we like to partner up with, like, one of our best partners is another production company. We all do the same services. But what's beautiful about it is when we partner up with them is they have a lot of skills that we didn't have when we started, that we learned from them, and vice versa. Like, we do more of the, roll up your sleeves type of work that they didn't normally do. Like, they had people, or they have people that do similar things. But what it allows us to do is really create like a powerhouse, because we can lean on each other for things. Or if we're really busy with something, we can put some things in their hands, and vice versa. So having good partnerships, I think, is really crucial as well. And then partners with your client in that aspect of, we have to be trustworthy. Like, they have to
Mm,
like be able to trust us and understand. And like, you learn a lot about businesses. Like, I think one of the big things, the trap I always fell into when I first started, like, and I'm talking way back in like, 2008, when I was like, okay, I'm going to have a production company. Nobody wants to say I can't afford something. Like, nobody's going to come out and say that. So they're going to ask you for all these great ideas, and you go out and you start building out like, here's a plan, and we'll do 5 commercials, and we'll put you on this, this, and this. Then you find out later they don't have any money, like, and that's always a challenge. So like, the client has to feel comfortable enough to really tell you, this is what we're working with. Like, they might not tell you exact, but they can tell you a range, at the very least, try to get a range from them. So you don't go spend all your time going, here's 50 million ideas that never are going to happen, and I did that a lot in the beginning of my career, where I'm like, oh, this, you meet with somebody and they're like, yeah, we're going to do so many things. And, you come up with this big illusion of like all this work you're going to have. And then it turns out you're doing like a 30-second commercial and they have 4 grand, like, it's just the way it is. So you really want to try to get through that a little bit. And that's part of like understanding too. And again, when you're younger, that's not as bad. Like, if you don't have any overhead, and you have a camera and you can edit it, like, that might be a great project for you, and it might get you through a month, but now we would be in trouble if we did that every day.
absolutely. And different stages of the business call for different decisions, for sure. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I'm sure this has been very valuable to all our listeners.